Every year, more than 3 million Australians save the nation hundreds of millions of dollars simply by caring for a loved one unable to care for themselves. This week, we're all being asked to spare a thought for carers like Natasha Scholl, who regularly goes without sleep to ensure round-the-clock care for her young son, Ezra.
And they're now joining us in the studio. Thank you both so much for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Natasha, first of all, just what is it like to be a carer?
I guess it's a big change from, what our lives were previously, so it's quite a shock to the system. It is a privilege to be able to take care of Ezra. It comes from a place of love, but it's also, a huge responsibility and, something that we're not trained for. We're just sort of thrown in the deep end and have to go with it.
Yeah. And how long have you been in this situation?
So Ezra was diagnosed 2 years ago. He was in hospital for a year and he's been home since last December. So it's about 2 years of, intense care.
And Ezra, if we can ask you what it's like to have your mum caring for you and just the difficulties that you have every day.
Yeah, so obviously it's not something I want, but, we deal with it and it's kind of a blessing in disguise, and I take the best with what we can get.
How much does it mean to have your mum and siblings there as your carers as opposed to relying on doctors and nurses elsewhere?
My family, my whole family are just great. I'm really grateful for them and they're just great, and especially my dad, my mum, my brothers, they all just, we all love each other, so.
Natasha, you're doing such, and all of your family, terrific work, but also what are some of the systematic or institutional challenges you face as a carer, trying to provide the best care for your son?
Yeah, so obviously taking care of Ezra is a huge responsibility, but I think a lot of the exhaustion comes not from what we have to do in a day, but dealing with the institutions and the systems that they're in place to try and help families like ours, but often what they do is create more hurdles, more barriers to getting help. So anytime we have to have anything to do with the NDIS, it's sort of, we're on a wait list to get a wheelchair accessible car so that we can take Ezra to school, to appointments, to get out in the community. It's a 2-year wait for that. Once we're approved, we're still not approved. We've been out of hospital since December. We're told, we'll get back to you in 21 days with our decision. It's been months and months.
Oh, how frustrating is that?
Yeah, it's very frustrating. So I think that's part of the issue. The system's in place to help families like ours actually create more stress and more, more work for carers.
Have you seen, as a result of the changes to the NDIS recently, that it's become even harder, or is it less hard?
I think the changes haven't hit yet. I think we'll find out soon, but just there's a lot of fear and the funding cuts, the talk of funding cuts. I think people without lived experience are making decisions for people, and the consequences can be really huge.
They need to come and have a seat at your place. Correct. For 24 hours
in our family.
Yeah, and you were talking before about Ezra's siblings and just how important it is, and what you have actually seen in terms of it being a great opportunity and a wonderful process.
Yeah, his siblings are amazing. They've just gone with it, and I think the greatest gift that they can give him is just to have that childhood. They hang out. I don't think they would see themselves as carers, but they definitely are. The responsibilities that they have are enormous. They have to become far more independent, take on far more responsibility than they should at their young age.
Ezra, it is National Carers Week. You love your mum and your siblings and your dad clearly. What would you say to people out there, it being National Carers Week, about how important carers are to you every day?
Yeah, so carers are great, and, I couldn't do a lot of the things I do without them, and they're just so important and they don't get the attention they deserve.
How important is it to shine the spotlight on other people like your mum?
I think it's really important. I just think that, I love my mum, and
I think part of the issue is that a lot of what carers do is invisible, and it's that invisible labour. And if we're doing a good job, it means that, you know, Ezra's independence, his autonomy is preserved, but that means that a lot of what we do is unseen. So I think it's really important in Carers Week to shine a light on what carers do.
And I think that a lot of people probably don't see it and therefore don't realise how many hundreds of millions of dollars you're actually saving to the economy.
Yeah, with 3 million, you know, unpaid carers, and there's probably a higher figure than that. Probably people don't recognise that they are unpaid carers. I've given up paid work. You know, my husband has given up a lot of work. It's pretty much a 24/7 role that we do. We tag team, we make it work. We're a great team, but it is a lot of responsibility, and I think it's important for people, especially the government, to understand that it's, you know, millions and millions of dollars that we're doing completely unpaid with little recognition.
Natasha, I know I speak on behalf of everybody watching and saying congratulations on the work you do.
Yes.
And Ezra, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you both.
Thank you for having us.
Talking about it. Thank you.
It's great to get that insight.